Episode 16, Rewiring the Path. Previously on the crack plate, Jimmy and Mia began to understand the science behind their emotional reactions, learning that their defense mechanisms were the result of deeply ingrained neural pathways. With new tools from Olivia's workshop and Jenna's guidance, they started the process of rewiring their minds, but the journey ahead remains uncertain. Jimmy stood in line at his favorite coffee shop, scrolling through his phone. A text from Mia popped up. "Can we reschedule tonight?" Something came up. His chest tightened, and the familiar feeling of rejection bubbled to the surface. He gripped his phone, his mind racing with old thoughts. She's pulling away again. What's the point of trying if she doesn't care? But then Olivia's voice echoed in his mind. Pause. Reflect. Choose. Jimmy took a deep breath and opened his notebook, flipping to the worksheet on rewiring triggers. He began filling it out. Trigger, Mia's text about rescheduling. Emotional reaction, feeling rejected, assuming she doesn't care. Belief, I'm not worth the effort. Defense mechanism, shutting down and avoiding a response. New response, ask for clarification without assuming the worst. Jimmy typed back, no problem. Hope everything's okay. Let me know when you're free. As he hit send, he felt a small wave of relief. It wasn't easy, but he'd chosen a new path. Across town, Mia sat at her desk, staring at the pile of unpaid bills in front of her. The overwhelming sense of dread crept in as she thought about how far behind she was. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. Don't depend on anyone, Mia. They'll just let you down. The trigger, the sight of the bills, brought her back to that ingrained belief. She closed her eyes and heard Jenna's guidance. Triggers are reminders, not truths. What story are you telling yourself right now? Mia grabbed her journal and wrote, trigger, the pile of unpaid bills, emotional reaction, feeling overwhelmed. Belief, if I rely on someone, I'll be let down. Defense mechanism, avoiding the issue and not asking for help. New response, share my concerns without expecting a specific outcome. Mia picked up her phone and typed, hey, I've been stressed about bills lately. It's hard to ask, but would you be open to helping me talk through a budget? Her thumb hovered over the send button. The old belief whispered, he'll think you're weak. But the new belief reminded her, it's okay to ask for support. She hit send. Later that week, Jimmy sat in the workshop as Olivia addressed the group. On the whiteboard, she wrote, change isn't a single decision. It's a series of small, consistent choices. Rewiring your brain takes time, Olivia explained. Each time you choose a new response, you're carving out a new pathway. At first, it feels unnatural, but with practice, the new path becomes easier, while the old one fades. Jimmy raised his hand. What happens when you mess up? Like if you go back to the old reaction? Olivia smiled. That's part of the process. The key is to notice it, forgive yourself, and try again. Progress isn't about never slipping. It's about getting back on track. Later that evening, Jimmy and Mia reflected on their progress. Jimmy wrote in his notebook, trigger, Mia's text about rescheduling. New response, responded calmly and asked for clarification. Result, I didn't spiral, and we rescheduled for tomorrow. He smiled faintly, feeling a small but significant sense of accomplishment. Across town, Mia reviewed her interaction with Jimmy. She had expected judgment or frustration, but his response had been supportive. Of course, let's figure it out together. She wrote in her journal, trigger, the pile of unpaid bills. New response, asked for help. Result, felt supported without losing my independence. For the first time, both began to see the power of their choices. Jimmy and Mia sat together at the park the next evening, their journals tucked into their bags. The air between them felt lighter, filled with the quiet understanding that they were both trying. Thanks for being patient with me, Mia said, her voice soft. This is new territory for me. Jimmy nodded. Same here, but I think we're on the right track. As they walked toward the park's exit, neither felt the weight of old patterns pulling them back. For the first time, they were creating something new. As Jimmy and Mia continue practicing their new responses, life throws them unexpected challenges. Will they stay on the path they're carving, or will the pull of old habits prove too strong? Tune in to The Crack Plate, Episode 17, When Life Tests You.